Hey guys, so what I want to do in this video is explain to you how you lose weight, how that actually happens. Most people tell me, Jen, I know what I need to do to lose weight, I just can't do it on my own. But in reality, what I find is most people don't actually know what causes fat loss, what brings about fat loss. Most people are very, very confused about that. And I work with some really intelligent people like doctors and scientists, but most people do not understand the mechanisms behind it. So in this video, I just want you to have a lot of clarity by the end of this video around what it is exactly that causes fat loss and what doesn't, and why we do what we do, and in practice exactly what it is that you need to do over the coming weeks and months. Okay, so there is a lot of noise out there. A lot of people telling you lots of different things, like it's about carbs or eating clean or cutting out all sugar and gluten or doing a certain type of exercise program or not eating after 5 p.m. And you've probably heard all of those things and more. And what I want to get across in this video is why it is none of those things. All of those things can help, but there is one thing that you have to be doing, one condition that you have to meet in order to lose weight. And if you're not meeting that one condition, weight loss will not happen. You can be doing all of those things and more, but this one thing, if you're not doing that, you won't be losing weight. But if you're doing this one thing, you don't have to be doing any of those things and you can still lose weight. In this video, I want to explain to you exactly what that one thing is. And it is about energy balance, okay? You need a certain amount of energy to exist and to do the things that you do, and you ingest a certain amount of energy. This is not a secret. This is not something that I know that others don't. All trainers, nutritionists, nutrition coaches, we all learn this within the first few hours of our course in Physiology 101. But yet, for some reason, people try and create completely fictional narratives around this and sell you all kinds of like programs and products and all kinds of things. So I just want to explain this to you really, really simply. Okay, so this graph might look a bit complicated at first, but it is the total amount of energy that somebody burns in a day. This TDEE means total daily energy expenditure. And it just means the total number of calories you burn in a day. And it comes from four things. There are four ways that we burn energy. One is through something called BMR, or basal metabolic rate, basic metabolic rate. And that is the number of calories that if you lie in bed all day for 24 hours, you don't move, you don't eat, you don't talk, you don't do anything. That is the number of calories that you're going to burn, the amount of energy that you're going to burn just to survive, to keep your heart pumping, to keep your brain working, to keep renewing and repairing all your cells, all of that stuff that's going on internally that you can't see and you can't feel. That is your basic metabolic rate. Some people say to me, Jen, I'm not exercising, I'm not burning any calories, so I'm not burning any energy, so I can't lose weight. That's not true. The vast majority of what you're burning, what you're using in a day is coming from your basic metabolic rate. So that's the first way that we use energy. The second way is something called TEF, which is actually up here. And that's the thermic effect of food. That's just the calories used, the energy used in digestion. I keep saying the word calories and I keep meaning not to. So the amount of energy that you use in digestion, and it's about 10% of your total daily expenditure. Digestion is an active process and requires energy. And then we have two other things: NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, just the amount of energy that you use through your daily tasks. So me using my hands here, getting up and down from the toilet, getting out of bed, sitting at your computer, washing the dishes, all of this movement requires energy. And then there's EAT, exercise activity thermogenesis, the amount of energy that you burn through exercise. Exercise requires energy. Most of you know this. Okay, so those four things make up your total daily energy expenditure. So if we just put some numbers on that, average woman, let's say a 65 kilo woman, like 165 centimeters tall, something like that, 5'6". She needs around 2,000 calories a day. Okay, energy is measured in calories. Calories is a unit of measurement. It's the amount of energy that it takes to heat up 1 centimeter cubed of water by 1 degree Celsius, something like that. But it's a very, very, very specific unit of energy. Not interesting exactly what it is. So the average woman needs a certain amount of energy per day measured in calories, 2,000 calories a day to maintain her weight, right? That's the number of calories that she burns in a day, the amount of energy that she burns in a day through these 4 different processes. 1,300 of those calories is going to be her basic metabolic rate. That's just the energy that she's burning through existing. So to put some other numbers on it, when she's sleeping, she's burning 60 calories an hour. When she's sitting, she's burning 70 calories an hour. Standing is 100 calories an hour. Fast walking is like 200, 300 calories an hour. High intensity exercise, 500 calories an hour. Okay. So through increasing movement, we burn more calories, we burn more energy. For a very small woman, a 50-kilo woman, this is going to be less for everything. And for a 110-kilo guy, this is going to be way more through everything, or significantly more through each one of those things. Okay, he's going to burn more in each of those activities. So the ways you burn energy are through metabolic processes, digestion, movement, exercise. Okay, and we can manipulate each one of these things. And the ways you ingest energy is just through eating food. And you can reduce the amount of energy going in through cutting carbs, cutting gluten and sugar, stopping eating at a certain time, through fasting for 20 hours a day, or through reducing overall calories over a 24-hour period in a moderate and boring way, which is what we're going to do. So it's all about calories in versus calories out, CICO. Some people will say this is oversimplified, and I'm going to talk about that in a different video. So how many calories do you need? This is going to change from one person to the next. The first thing we need to do is figure out maintenance calories, which is that TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, the number of energy, the amount of energy, the number of calories you need in a day to maintain your current weight. That is your maintenance calories. And we need to start with that number because it's going to be different from person to person. So that for that 65-kilo woman, 50-kilo woman, or 110-kilo guy, it's going to be very, very different. Each of you, I've given you in your starter packs your maintenance calories based on your activity levels, your gender, your height, all of that stuff. So you all have that number, and most people skip this step, but it's really important to know this number for a number of reasons later on. Then we've got to get you in a moderate calorie deficit of about 10 to 20% of your maintenance calories. Okay. 10% is not a very big deficit, and weight loss is going to be very, very slow. But it is very manageable. You're not going to be hungry. It's easy to do over a long period of time. And 20% is going to be a bigger calorie deficit. It's going to be harder to be more exact, but you also shouldn't be hungry. Most people, if they cut below 20% of a deficit, the calories get too low, they get too hungry, and a whole bunch of other things happen that make you want to eat food, and it's not sustainable for the long term. The exception is if you're very overweight, you can often get away with a bigger calorie deficit simply because you've got more energy in your fat stores to mobilize. So you can get away with a bigger calorie deficit and lose weight faster in the beginning without feeling hungry or deprived. But we've got to figure that out for you. So an example, let's take that 2,000 calories a day woman. She's not doing any exercise. To maintain her weight, she needs 2,000 calories a day. 10% of a 10% deficit is going to be 1,800 calories, and a 20% deficit is going to be 1,600 calories. Then compare that to a really big guy who weighs 110 kilos, who's really, really active. He's going to need 2,800 calories a day. 10% of that is going to be 2,500, and 20% is going to be 2,250, right? If he's quite overweight, he might be able to get away with a bigger deficit than that. But for both of these people, it is not 1,200. that is just such a random number, and it's almost never 1,200 apart from for very small inactive women. Bear in mind that this inactive woman, the first example over here, if she increases her exercise, that number, all of those numbers are going to go up. So at the end of the day, it's all about calories in versus calories out, right? It's about those two things, and we need to manipulate those two things. Okay, the first thing we've got to get you doing is getting you into a calorie deficit. Okay, getting you into a decent calorie deficit to start getting you losing weight. There are lots of other things that matter, and we're going to talk about all of those things. But that is the one condition that has to be met in order for you to be losing weight. Everything else it only works if it helps you get into a calorie deficit. So the way we addressed calories in the beginning is addressing portion size, making sure that we're having sensible sized portions and not eating 1,200 calorie meals. Food quality, by eating more whole foods, that makes you fuller, makes you eat less calories over. It's much easier to overeat calorie dense foods. Getting more protein in, it's going to make you feel fuller. It's going to it's going to help even out blood sugar levels, all that kind of stuff. There's lots of reasons to be eating protein. Fiber is going to make you feel fuller. Reducing those calorie dense foods, it doesn't mean you can't eat them. There's no such thing as good and bad foods. You can fit everything into a calorie deficit, but if you're eating really calorie dense foods 3 times a day or throughout your whole day, it's gonna be much easier to overeat. For some people, it might mean reducing carbs, maybe by a little bit, maybe by a lot. If you eat lots and lots and lots of carbs, you might need to reduce that, but there isn't something magical about reducing carbs. And by measuring food, especially calorie dense foods like oils, okay, a tablespoon of oil has 120 calories. And so by making sure we're not just pouring, like 4 tablespoons worth of oil on our food, we can really start to bring those calories down. And we're going to increase our calories out by increasing NEAT, so just getting you moving more during the day, increasing exercise, and by actually doing more actual exercise, high intensity, low intensity, everything. And here, things like walking are so underrated. You can get so much out of just doing more walks and building muscle. If we build more muscle, that's going to increase your metabolic rate, because muscle is an expensive tissue. So over time, we can increase your metabolic rate, increase the calories going out by building muscle. Okay, so in the beginning, the focus is on manipulating the calories in. So this is your maintenance calories. So we start reducing the calories that are going in, and we start creating a deficit, and we start increasing the calories out, further increasing that deficit. That's the game. That's what we're doing. There are so many other things that we're going to do along this process. But you need to understand that this is the game, and it is a game. By just creating that deficit and then increasing that deficit and maintaining it over a long period of time, that is what is going to get you to lose weight. None of those other things matter. None of those other things will, like cutting out carbs won't help if you're not in a calorie deficit, but it can help you get into a calorie deficit. So that is the one condition you need to meet, and it is a game. What we're going to do in the beginning is get you into a calorie deficit, get you understanding what's in the food you eat, get you into the biggest deficit that you can tolerate, which is going to be different from person to person. For a very small person, it might be just a 10-15% deficit, and for somebody who's very, very overweight, it might be a 30% deficit. It's going to be different from person to person. But you have to be able to tolerate it. If you can't tolerate it, it's going to backfire. We're going to increase exercise and movement, and then we're going to make other changes to make it more sustainable and to make it a lifestyle change, to use a buzzword, and to make it part of your life. So that's it. That's 101 fat loss, how you lose fat. We're going to talk about a lot more things in the coming weeks and months, but that's the basic stuff that you need to know.